Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Life List, a birding podcast with Molly Brown and Alvaro Jaramillo. I am George Armistead. How are you guys doing today?
Hey there.
Hello.
Doing okay over here. It's the changing of the seasons.
I say.
Both, I think for all of us, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was in basically summer the other day. And
Yeah, you were.
It's in winter now, so. But it took a plane to change the seasons for me. So
That's true.
That helps. Yeah. Yeah. Molly, what do we get? What'd you say we're getting? Like a 30-degree difference in like next 48 hours or something?
Yeah, I think we're pushing a 40-degree difference in 24 hours over here.
Jesus.
Yeah, today has been beautiful at home here for me in West Virginia, and 65. And y'all probably saw when we started talking how bright the sun was shining in the window. And just now, it's rolling in, and it's gotten dark out, and I can feel the temperature dropping from inside the cabin here. So I've spent the past couple days outside doing as much as I can, and I was hoping I could give the dogs a bath before the sun sets or the rain starts tonight. But we'll see if that happens when we're done recording. That's like last on my list.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Yeah, you might get some snow too, right?
Yeah, we should be getting our snow. Which actually, I was looking at historical weather patterns today. This is actually right on cue this is like the week that this county averages its first snow. So, I don't know. I guess it's just been so warm overall that it feels like this is sudden. But in that way, I guess we're kind of on track.
Yeah. And we've got the bomb cyclone going on here in the West. So
Is that another atmospheric river coming your way?
And an atmospheric river coming our way. So the cyclone's actually to the north. It's really hitting British Columbia and Washington. And then the atmospheric river will be to the south. It's associated with it, but it's going to be for Northern California, Oregon, and down to where I live, like by Friday. So it's one big event with two different like symptoms, and the north is getting wind, and then we're going to get rain. Apparently, so bomb cyclone. So the cyclogenesis of when you have this storm that gets really lower in pressure really quickly is what a bomb cyclone is. I guess it's 24 millibars in 24 hours. I gather this one doubled that. So it's essentially a mid-latitude low-level hurricane that is offshore. And fortunately, it's not coming onshore. Like it's kind of like skirting. Like if it went full brunt into British Columbia, that'd be even worse than some of the images of all the downed trees. And everybody's out without power up north. And I'm just wondering how much rain and where it's going to hit, because these atmospheric rivers are like a fire. Somebody sort of described it as sort of like a Keystone Cops holding the fire hose, and nobody can kind of hold it straight, and it wiggles all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't quite know exactly. They know the hose is on, but where it's going to hit and if it's going to wiggle north and south. So you could just suddenly get like drenched, like with, 4 or 5 inches of rain in a short amount of time, or, the next county over gets it. So it's like, it's really weirdly uncertain. I know. So we'll see what happens.
What a great analogy. Holy cow.
When I saw that image in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it's sort of like. Whoa, where's the rain going?
Yeah, rain your way too, George.
Yeah. I was saying, like, usually I think of as our first snow when it happens. We had several years in a row here with no snow, but we actually did get some last year. But we're in the middle of this crazy drought right now, so any precipitation would be welcome at the moment. But yeah, I think it was like the driest October ever. October is usually a pretty wet month around here. And so it's been really weird. Like this fall has, I've been around for a lot, which is nice. But it's been like bright blue skies day after day after day after day, which doesn't make sky watching very fun if you're trying to do hawk watching or hoping for, a flyby, something cool over your yard. It's hard to be inspired when you're staring up into the blue and everything, the birds just disappear. About a month ago, somebody had a crested caracara like that they photographed flying through North Jersey, and I was like, man, that tugged at me, and I was like, wow, imagine like just sitting in your spot and having a crested caracara go, because the photo showed the bird like way the heck up there, but they're so distinctive that you can tell what it is, and I was like, I got to do some watching, right after that, and then it was hard to be really into it with the blue skies. And then of course, like a couple weeks later, thing shows up here in Bucks County, just outside of Philadelphia. And I was like, damn it, probably went right over my yard. But yeah, it's been tough I feel bad for all the hawk watchers around here. It's been a difficult season.
Wasn't there a red-billed tropic bird at Cape May
yes.
as well?
Yes. Yeah. Daniel Irons there at the Avalon Sea Watch. I was just looking at that. In fact, I still have it open in my window here. This photographed red-billed tropic bird right at the Avalon Sea Watch there, 8th Street, flying over the 8th Street jetty. It just looks weird.
And wasn't it like, just from the placement, unless I don't know what the jetty's like, it was going north, right?
I think that is right.
I think so.
Yeah, it said flying off to the north/northeast towards Atlantic City, because that's where tropic birds go, right?
If they want to try their luck,
roll the dice.
Roll the dice.
This one shouldn't have, because it was not seen again.
Yeah. Well, there was a similar one at Ocean City, Maryland a few years ago. I want to say it was like early December or something like that went shooting by, and somebody just happened to be there and photograph it as it was going by. It's like,
man, can you
those
imagine?
things do weird things sometimes.
Yeah.
That is weird. I can't remember in California anybody seeing a tropic bird from land. Maybe in Southern California, but it's weird that this kind of thing, and also those albatrosses out east, that show up over land or along some causeway, that just never happens over here. It's like, you got to be out and about somewhere.
My favorite was there was, for a couple years there was yellow-nosed albatrosses, showing up from shore, on shore, even inland slightly. Not really inland, but just kind of in from the coast, like over land. But my favorite one was the one that it was, it was kind of debatable whether it was all pertaining to the same bird or maybe there was a couple birds. It wasn't really clear. And, but there was one that somebody drove out to Cape Point, Cape Hatteras, and like had a yellow-nosed albatross sitting on the beach with like great blackback gulls and stuff. And that was April 9th. And then 2 years later, somebody is out there on April 9th and had a yellow-nosed albatross again. I think that one was a flyby, if I remember. But if I was anywhere in North Carolina, I feel like I would, every April 9th, I would turn up out there.
They live 70 years. So even if every 5 years it decides to go back, you have plenty of time to sort of find
Seriously. Yeah.
I got to correct what I was just thinking, never, you say never happens, but there was the famous Laysan albatross up in Northern California, albatross, they would call it. So Al the albatross, it came back years and years, and it was sitting right off the beach. And where was it? Fort Bragg, I think. And then there was a wandering type albatross.
I was just going to ask about
that. 70s.
Yeah.
That landed on a place called Sea Ranch,
Yeah, it was the first record.
Yeah.
It was the Sea Ranch, yeah.
And it was just sitting there, I guess I can't imagine. I guess it was sitting there all afternoon, and then it flew off. if that happened today, like a full on, wandering albatross
Oh my gosh.
lands within a few hours of large city
Oh
somewhere,
my
it's like,
God.
oh my God,
Yeah, that would be chaos.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe we lost Wandering Albatross in this split. That is a wrong that needs to be righted. But
Yep. Yeah. But we could write a proposal. Like, you can't actually do this.
it's true. You've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can like tilted windmills all the, but we could do it and at least lay out our reasons so that they may actually help future name changes
Hey,
not be
if they'll
so
consider
silly.
that, if the powers that be will consider the seagull based on this podcast, I feel like we should give Wandering Albatross a solid go here.
Yeah. The one called Snowy should be the Wandering Albatross.
Yes.
And it's not going to cause much confusion, maybe a couple of years, and everybody will forget.
Yeah.
And
but the goodwill that will pave over any confusion. So
yeah.
it's
Are
too
you
good.
in, Molly? Should we write this?
Oh yeah. We can just
Maybe
make this a petition and have some listeners sign it too, and
yeah.
I like that.
we'll wield our power over here.
I like that. Petition's more aggressive. We should do that. Yeah.
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 Right. Because exactly. We can get militant.
Yes. It's high time.
Yeah. All you need to do is buy some of those Cornell people a beer, and they,
It's true. Yeah.
they'll
like a house
listen.
of cards.
They'll listen.
Yeah. So I had a weird anxiety dream. I wanted to share, and perhaps I'll regret this, but it was kind of related to, like, I for years I've had the anxiety dream that I think is like super common, where everybody I think everybody has had some version of this, where you signed up for the course and all of a sudden there's an exam and you forgot that you signed up, and now you got to take the exam and it's going to decide your whole college career or whatever. The other day I had a dream that I woke from, and I arrived in an airport to meet my group, and I met my group, and all of a sudden I couldn't find like any of the paperwork I needed or information that I needed to, like, for us to like leave the airport. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but I was supposed to have that. And like finally and then I realized I couldn't find my luggage, and I was like looking for my luggage. And while I'm looking for my luggage, I realized that everybody left, and now I didn't know where the group was. and then I was like, oh wait, I have my luggage with me the whole time. So then I felt like triply stupid. And then I was like, all right, I got to get out of here and find the group. And I get into the elevator, and there's like to like leave this airport, this airport that doesn't exist in reality. And all the buttons on the airport, there's not like numbered for the floors, but instead they have like different kinds of animals and bird names. So they had like there was like blue-footed booby and like white-handed gibbon and like anaconda, like. And I was like, oh my God, which one do I choose? And at that point I woke up, and I was like, that is a weird anxiety dream. I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah.
It's curious if you guys ever had a similar anxiety dream. I'm guessing not.
Actually, I had a dream about losing luggage in the past like 2 weeks. And I think it was something birding related. It wasn't me leading a tour group, but I also had that. So maybe there's a commonality in our causes.
I mean, I think part of it is that I'm shoving off for a big trip soon. Al and I are heading for our cruise here, and anytime for me before going on a big trip, like the week before is always kind of the most like, got to get this done, got to get that done. And maybe that's knocking around in my head even more than I realized.
Yeah. Got to record a podcast.
Got to record a podcast.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah. Right.
Ugh. What really gives me anxiety on those, um, before I leave for something is I don't set an alarm when I'm home. I wake up early, but I wake up on my own. And now when I have to set an alarm to go catch a flight or something, I am terrified that I'm going to miss it and it drives me crazy. And then that happens on the tours too. And I dream about my alarm going off, just like constantly over the night. Those
I'm
really
laughing.
get me.
Al, do you remember the very first tour day we ever worked together?
Whew. Yeah, I don't remember the details, but if you say, I may remember.
Well, it was an Oregon tour, and
Uh-huh.
we did not neither of us set an alarm, or the alarm failed us, but we were awakened to a phone call from our group like, you guys said 6 a.m. Are you coming? And we were like, what? And
Oh man.
like I couldn't tell who was more embarrassed, you or me. We were like we were embarrassed for that we had done this for the group, but I think we were both embarrassed because we knew each other a bit by that point, but we were both like, oh my God, so unprofessional, and it was literally like our first trip that we did that. I don't think I've had that happen since.
Wow. Yeah, good times.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
and maybe for another time. If I haven't mentioned it before, that time where I got the time totally wrong to leave from my tour.
I remember that one.
I don't know. Maybe I can't even talk about that one. There's like a statute of limitations since I wasn't working for myself then, and maybe I shouldn't mention.
I do remember that one.
Oh,
That was a good one. Yeah.
that was a classic. I
Didn't you
became a
get a phone
legend.
call like, so Al, you shoving off soon?
It was more like, "Where are you?" I'm here at home packing.
Yeah. I think they called you and they were like, hey, Al, what are you doing? You're like, oh, well, I'm just, getting ready to go. And,
Yeah, packing. What's going on? Well, you're supposed to be there now. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Did the other way around once where I got to the airport. I had my girlfriend at the time drive me at like 4 a.m. To the airport, and got there and was like, oh, sorry, this is tomorrow. She was like, yeah, you're going on. You're figuring out your own way there tomorrow. So,
Oh yeah. I fly out of different airports a lot because I kind of live far from all of them, and I'm always nervous I'm going to go to the wrong airport now, which hasn't happened yet. And I'll tell you what, I'm leaving next week to go on a tour too, and I was totally fine about it until now. Now I'm going to be anxious too.
oh boy, it's contagious. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Now I have
Yeah.
all these examples of how things can go wrong.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Doesn't take much for things to go sideways sometimes.
I suppose not.
Yeah. So, Molly, you went to one of our favorite birding festivals recently, the
Yes, I
Rio
did.
Grande Birding Festival. Yeah, Rio Grande,
Yep.
right? How was that?
Well, it was really great. As I often do, I went really quickly. I was there like 4 days. And it was just kind of came together last minute to make it down there. And I hadn't been since 2019, and that was the only time that I had been to the valley for the festival. I'd been there other times for birding, but I remembered really liking it then. And you know how things are post pandemic. I just hadn't made it back yet. And I am so, so glad that I went down for a few days because it was an absolute blast. And this was my third time to the valley, but there are still so many like major places that I hadn't been to. And so I just, squeezed in as much birding as I could and joined in with a few things for the festival itself. And as I always do, see a lot of people, saw a lot of listeners, ended up spending a day with our listener, Cecilia, who is also going on tour with me in February. So
Nice.
It's really wonderful to meet someone like that. Yeah. We just ended up by coincidence birding together for a day. So it was really, really fun.
That's
And
awesome.
then, yeah, it was wonderful. And I was at the vendor area, and they had a little like reception that, these things often do where they have appetizers and stuff. And I was going through the line and just getting a couple snacks. And I turned around to this like room full of people where it was pretty busy and everybody's sitting around at tables and stuff. And I was by myself. And I look clear across the room and I see Arturo Kirkconnell, my co-guide in Cuba, whom I
Oh,
didn't know
wow.
was going to be there. Yeah, it was so funny. We locked eyes from very far away, and it was so exciting to see him. So I got to catch up with him. It's wonderful because that's the tour that I'm doing next week. So we got to prepare in person for that, and it's pretty darn fun to go without a real agenda and catch up with folks and do some birding and enjoy it all.
And did Arturo have any copies of his new field guide?
He did, and I have
It's
one
pretty
here.
good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously it's going to be good, but it's so different from the original. Like,
Yeah.
it's smaller, layout's great. I've seen it. Amazing.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's really nice. And it was cool too because he sent it off to the publisher during our April tour. There was one night where he we sat around, had a couple drinks, and we're hanging out looking for owls and such. And he was inside emailing the publishers, making these last minute changes. He had his midnight deadline, and then the next time I see him, he's holding the book, and it was really, really cool. And one thing I love about his book too is that he has a lot of information, like textbook style, on natural history of Cuba as well. So not only do you have all of the birding information, which is really nicely organized, like the endemics have a nice little checklist that you can look at for that. Subspecies are really clearly labeled. And then it's got all this other information on the habitats and geology and all these other parts of Cuba too that affect the birding. So it's a really, really nice book. And yes, I'm happy to have it.
Yeah. This is pretty awesome. He's like a machine. He's producing these different kinds of books about Cuba, photographic guides, and various other things, annotated checklists over the years. It's just amazing. Like one person with colleagues, helping, but it's great.
He is a machine. He's been doing it a long time. It's
and not
incredible.
to mention has been leading tours for 40 years in Cuba. Amazing.
Yeah.
So yes, he's a ton of fun to travel with. I'm really looking forward to our next tour.
Yeah, you never know who you'll see at RGV. That's I talked to our buddy Jeff Boughton as well, and at COA, and he was telling. I was like, "So how was RGV this year?" I had wanted to go myself, and yeah, but couldn't quite pull it together. And it is one of my favorite festivals I've done. The birding is so great, and like we're saying, you don't know who you're going to run into. And I still have great memories actually of Jeff Boughton finding that Amazon kingfisher there one year, and that just lit that place on fire. I'll never forget the highway patrol was directing traffic around us so that we could all enjoy the kingfisher. It was amazing. But Jeff was saying this year that there was definitely more people than had been there the last few years, and it felt very much like that Rio Grande Birding Festival was on the upswing. I think it'd be nice to make it there next year. I'm going to try to see if that is something I can do and recommend folks check it out.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that as well. And regardless of what someone finds during the festival and what, code 4, code 5 birds you're chasing or whatever, you're going to have amazing birding. That is guaranteed. Anywhere you go, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's a big community involvement. Like lots of local folks know about the festival and are excited about it. And that's really cool too. Like the waitresses at the restaurants or my taxi driver, those types of things, all know about the festival. So that's always a really nice bonus.
Yeah, it's a cool event. It really is. One of the best ones.
Did you guys know that in Mexico, the Rio Grande is not called the Rio Grande?
Are you setting us up right now?
No. The
It feels like you
official
are.
the official name of the Rio Grande in Mexico is the Rio Bravo. Rio Bravo
Oh,
del
right.
Norte is what Mexico calls the Rio Grande.
Did
I
not
always
know
thought
that.
that was weird because like
Yeah.
we always think, oh, it's Spanish, so therefore it's the
Yeah.
Mexican name, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That is odd.
Yeah, had no idea.
That's
Yeah,
some good.
I
That's
mean,
some quality trivia. Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Al, you are literally back like a couple days from
Yep.
a brand spanking new Chile trip. How did that go?
Yeah, it was really good. It's we changed the itinerary completely so that we now are going to this desert area called San Pedro de Atacama, where we can go and really have great looks at highland flamingos and giant and horned coots, and do
Oh,
a
wow.
pelagic that's really good in the kind of deep Humboldt current. And then we have the extension of Patagonia where a few, half the group went and saw pumas with truckers, truckers that, show you the pumas. And they had a family of pumas eating a guanaco. So that's pretty cool. But the main trip goes down to Chiloé Island, so not as far south, and gives us more time to look for forest birds and um, the Pincoya storm petrel, which it's about species that's what 11 years old now since the description, and
Right. Which you were involved with.
involved with, yeah, and it was wild. We saw them, and we got some pretty close views, and they are more variable than I thought. And I was kind of like, I learned that's one of the features that people really think of as the classic may not be the classic feature, which is the pale belly. The classic features are how much white they have on the underwings and upper wings. That seems to
Hmm.
be more consistent. And it just, I guess it's not a surprise given that a species is still not seen that much, by that many people. And we don't know the breeding ground, so we don't know how variable the adults are when they're breeding. And so a lot of questions came up, but the breeding grounds are a lot closer to be sort of people are closer to finding them, and they're likely in the mountains, sort of low mountain cliffs somewhere in inland rather than on an island. So it's pretty cool. See, so the new itinerary, fantastic. I thought, and we're going to make some tweaks, but it's really sort of the classic central Chile. So we call it the heart and soul
Hmm.
of Chile.
Nice. And Al, how did you get good views of horned coots on the trip?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Such a weird bird. I mean,
yeah.
and I was just trying to remember, like, wasn't that thing was only known from the type specimen for like a long time, right? And because I think people didn't quite understand that you had to go up to the Puna and the Altiplano, right, to find it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, ever since I've been doing birds, they've been known to be up there, but
Yeah,
maybe originally, like way
yeah.
back.
I think way
Yeah.
back, yeah, like I think there was like decades where they're like, "What's with this thing?" But yeah, I've only seen those distantly, way back in Argentina, and really would like to get up and do those things again. Fun group of birds. Um,
No kidding. Um,
Yeah.
I'll say the storm has hit here, so I don't know if y'all can hear the rain in the background, but it's it's hitting my metal roof. So
oh wow,
apologies to you and the listeners if you can. But
no,
um, is there as much of a like a recreational pelagic culture in Chile or throughout South America as there is here? I'm curious how often folks have the opportunity to get out on the Humboldt in that way.
Yeah, actually there is now. So there was a friend of mine that was doing a monthly pelagic out of Valparaiso, and I guess they were doing multiples during the spring, summer. I'm not sure if he's doing that anymore, but there are plenty of birders, enough that you can have, especially that close to the big city, pelagic happen relatively regularly, and there are enough keen birders that go up north that will book the boats and actually go and do pelagics out of the sort of northernmost 3 ports, as well as some whale watching a little further south. So there are consistent good records being found, and almost all of them by Chilean birders. So they're the ones that are finding all this cool stuff. And then now down south, there's new places too where boats that are available for pelagics, and it's kind of blossoming all over the country. And I know that in Uruguay they do them like maybe 3 or 4 a year.
Oh, wow.
And Argentina, there used to be, a place where there was a couple, but I don't think as many as on the West Coast. And I'm not sure about Peru. Most of Peruvian pelagics I've seen seem to be with people from out of the country rather than in-country birders.
I think they've gotten harder to do as well. If I remember, I think they've moved a lot of the fleet from one area. I think that we used to, I don't remember the details specifically, but yeah, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, one of the weird things that I guess if unexpected birds was red phalarope is the common phalarope in Chile. It's like they're the ones that you see all the time flying south. And then this time there were these big phalarope flocks, like really dense flocks in the north. And I just assumed there were red phalaropes. And when we got photographs and looked at them, there were rednecks, like all of them, hundreds, if not thousands of rednecks. And it was weird because it was a new bird for me, for the country, and there were hundreds. So it was like something weird happened either this year or that place is special for them.
They're typically wintering much
like
further
Peru,
north,
Ecuador,
right?
yeah.
And then, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means, but it maybe it's normal, and we just perhaps it's earlier in the season, but it's just like they disappear. There's a point in time where like later you're not seeing redneck phalaropes, and what are they doing? Are they overshooting? I don't know, but we just saw them, and I thought, wow, this is crazy. And then royal albatrosses this year were everywhere, like up north where they're pretty rare. We saw northern royal, and then in Valparaiso we saw both northern and southern, like 8-2 or something. So it was like 10 different royal albatrosses in a couple of hours. And I thought, wow, usually it's 0-1 that you see on a trip, and then you're like seeing 10, so I don't know what's going on with royal albatross, but I was happy. But it's weird. Like, how do you, how do you account for that after never seeing so many?
Weird combination. Yeah, royal albatross and redneck phalarope.
Yeah, redneck phalaropes
being your outliers.
I know. It's interesting. We've always talk about it. Pelagic birding is where all these weird things can happen, and a major shift in a population's distribution can happen one year because the water's different, and then it doesn't happen again, and you have no idea why. It's just sort of just go out there, detect it, document, move on. It's sort of
so fascinating. This is how you get hooked on pelagic birding.
I know. Kind of yeah. All this stuff is like, what will happen this time? Yeah.
What's the weirdo thing that's going to happen this time around? Looking forward to our season getting geared up here for pelagic soon. But Al, you also went to this Ladera Sur festival, right? What was that all about?
Well, holy moly. So first of all, Ladera Sur means south face, which I think is cool because it's like, north face, south face. So it's Ladera Sur was like an online, almost like nature magazine that got going, I don't know, 10 years ago, slowly, just stories about nature and birds and this and that. And it's become like a power, like a force. It's just massive now. Like everybody is reading Ladera Sur online, right? And they started doing this festival. They've done like podcasts and all sorts of stuff. They built up kind of almost like a nature media empire. And they started a festival a couple of years ago. So this was the third one. And it is like unlike any birding festival I've been. First of all, it's nature, so it's more broad. It's everything, birds to bugs to plants to what have you, and it also has music, so it's kind of like Nature Palooza, and they have a big,
Whoa.
they have big bands that people know down there, that were playing in the evening. They have multiple beer tents with all the best Chilean IPAs and wine from all over the country, food trucks, kid activities, and like just hundreds of vendors, like hundreds. And
Wow.
it's a 3-day event and thousands of people go, like just thousands. And I just like was thinking like, what is going on here? Like, this is crazy. Water bottles with Chucao Tapaculos on them are being sold, hats with black-chested buzzard eagle images. It's just insane, like the level of interest and commerce that's going on, and much broader type of people than you would see at a typical bird festival. Just all sorts of folks and a lot of young people. Like I would say most people were, below under 40, and the families were young families, lots of little kids running around, with butterfly t-shirts on and stuff. It's like,
That's so cool.
I know. And it's, they have 150 speakers is what I think the number was. And I was one of them, and I talked about sort of birding in Chile in our book. And I don't know whether like there were a lot of people there. It was really crazy. So, and I had to be interviewed by like CNN Chile, like they did interviews for the online version. I got to find it somehow, but the level of professionalism and just big media outlets were there, and it was crazy. I've never seen anything quite like it. And it was definitely, even like if you compared it to the big festivals like the bird fair in England,
Mm-hmm.
this was definitely a lot, like I would say, I mean, no offense, bird fair, but this was a lot cooler. Like it was a lot more happening, given that it had like the music and so we, after my talk, I sat around with birders and family, and we all were on a table just enjoying beers, telling jokes, eating amazing sandwiches while, this really well-known musician is playing right next door, and we could just enjoy the music and chat, so you didn't even have to be at the band shell to sort of enjoy the whole thing, and it was great. I just like thought, wow, like this is a good model. Like, I don't know why we don't think entertainment and art is vital to some of the festivals that we do. I mean, there obviously is some, but at this level, I've never seen anything quite like it. Like I was just like blown away. So, and apparently it's growing. So it was wild. I felt really like happy to have been part of, to even see this. I kept telling people, like when I was giving the talk, it's like, can you believe this? Like 30 years ago, none of this would have happened, and here we are today, and there's all these people. And then after it finished, I'm, my talk, I had to sign a few books and stuff. And there came a young woman, and I told her to send us a note because she's a big fan of the podcast,
Oh,
and she
whoa.
listens from Chile, and and and, and the funny thing she says, I was going to say hi there, Miss, Nostradamus, just to let you know that I'm a real listener. And I was like laughing my head off,
Nice.
because if you know that one, you've been listening,
Yeah.
When she sends us a little note or something, then we can thank her directly. I've just forgotten her name right now, for being a listener all the way down south in Chile.
That's
Cool,
awesome.
huh?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That sounds like a good time.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should all go to this festival next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The birding experiences at festivals and events, I guess most of that has been in South America for me outside of the US, and they are always really, really fun. And I feel like there's a bit of a cultural element to it as well, where like
Mm-hmm.
in the US, we don't celebrate things as much. And the birding events that I've been to in South America feel like celebrations. And it's so joyful and it just sets the tone for the whole thing. And they do really cool stuff there too. Like you were saying, Alvaro. And man, it's great. I would love to have more of that here in the US.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, people that are running some of the festivals here should go down and see to get ideas. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
And Brazil has that Avistar as one as well, right? Which I think is kind of I've not been to, but I think like everybody in Brazil goes to it. And there's a ton of Brazilian birders. I bet that a festival organizer here go to this Ladeira Sur, go to Avistar, could shake things up back in the States with some of the
Yeah.
festivals. One of our weaknesses, I think, in the U.S. is that we almost have too many festivals. Like there's so many scattered around that it's hard to have one really big one. But I think the idea of having one where it's not just about birders and birding, but is a celebration of nature in general could be a much bigger deal and a much different thing.
Yeah.
I think that birding in the US suffers from enough precedence that everyone kind of models after what everyone else has done. There's tons of room to just totally shake stuff up. And I hope that happens soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even, the birds and beer model of small little times when birders get together, not necessarily just to talk about birds but just be social. That's interesting, and it doesn't happen everywhere. It's so I think we need more of these kind of community building fun, you know not the kind of thing where, I'm going to the festival because I want to buy a binocular, or
or even
I
see
want to,
this bird.
right, or see this bird, right. Like, there was no birding done at the Ladera Sur festival other than what we could hear. And, Barnell flew over while we were having beers, and a few things were here and there, but it was all about the event more than you go elsewhere to see the birds. Here you go to sort of be with people who are into nature, and see things that people are doing. So there are all of these nonprofits there too, showing what they're up to, from rewilding, Audubon Chile, the Rock, who are doing a lot of the major bird work. It's just cool stuff to just be able to flow around, and then, cool clothes and art and what have you. It was cool. It was,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Did I mention the beer and wine?
Big component. Yeah.
Big component.
Something that my closest town here, Morgantown, West Virginia, did this summer is they initiated like you can carry your beer and wine downtown, and they've got this whole section. And there are also a lot of murals in Morgantown. This rain is really getting harder. Hopefully, my internet doesn't cut out. Um, there are a ton of murals downtown, and I walked around this summer, and there are 10 that feature birds. And next year, I want to do a local bird walk where we just grab drinks and we walk around downtown and we look at the chimney swifts and we look at all these murals. And I think that would be so fun. And I really crave that kind of stuff too around here.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's a local thing. That's not a giant national festival. That's folks getting together where they are.
Another event they do here in Philly that I think is really cool is in the neighborhood I live in here, there's a pair of peregrine falcons that nest on this big old cathedral here. And it's kind of right in a pretty urban area. So they basically just buy a whole bunch of pizzas and set up some card tables and people just come by, grab a slice of pizza, check out the peregrine and the scopes. And it's kind of similar to what you were talking about, Molly. It's a pretty
so cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. One of the other ones I did once that I loved, and I'm actually thinking of trying to resume maybe in 2025, was I hosted a quizzo, which will not surprise you guys that I do love trivia and pub quizzes in particular. So I did one for like the local birders, and it was I think it had 3 or 4 rounds of 10 questions each, and my favorite part was one of the founders of our bird club here in Philly was Whitmer Stone, and the winning team was the Whitmer Stoners. It was pretty good. It was a good team name, and they showed up, and we kind of arranged it. I want to say there's maybe 40 people or so, and as people came in, we kind of asked them their experience level so that we could kind of pair people and make a mixed team that would hopefully be, reasonably fair, such that nobody felt like they had no chance of winning. But it was a fun one, and I think those birding quizzes can be really, really fun too.
Wasn't there stony eye common grackle subspecies back at some point?
I think that's right, Al. Yeah.
Whitmer Stone.
Yeah. Old studies or bird studies at Old Cape May was his famous book. So yeah. Also in the news, guys, this week, not happy news. But not a surprise either. So kind of news, but kind of not. The news was that the slender-billed curlew was officially declared extinct.
Extinct.
Yeah. This is a bird that I've actually looked for. But the last sighting was 1995. The last official sighting was 1995 in Morocco at a place called Merja Zerga. I was there, I believe, in like 2003, and I went 3 years in a row, and I remember there were still guys that were like in the neighborhood that had boats, and they're like, "We'll take you out to see the slender-billed curlew." And we were like, "Yeah, I don't know about that. But at that point, we did still wonder if they might be around someplace. And I have a few friends that have seen them. Our buddy Julian Huff, he saw them there years ago. I know Louis Bevere saw them, I think it's a flyby flock of like 10 of them in Italy, like in the 80s or something like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people alive still who would have seen those, but officially extinct now. I think also many people probably do not know that there is a North American record for slender-billed curlew.
What?
Yes, a specimen, no less, from God's country up north, Canada, a place well, Alvaro. Although it was barely in Canada, probably it looks like it's maybe 20 miles west of Buffalo in Ontario, very, very close to the U.S. border. In 1925, it's from fall. They don't have precise date information, but talk about a weird one. And yeah, a tough one to lose. Curlews all over the world seem to be struggling.
I might have seen that specimen actually ages ago, but yeah, I think it was like
at the
Fort.
ROM. Is it at the ROM?
I think so. Yeah, Fort Erie, Ontario, or something like that. I'm not sure where, but it was accepted.
Crescent Beach, it says.
Crescent Beach.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things, right? I think Molly.
Right next to Fort Erie. Yeah.
Molly was talking about this before we started. How do you decide? Who decides when something is extinct? And I think there's different groups do it in different ways, right? I think in the US it takes a lot longer because this is you said 95?
Yeah.
That is almost 30 years. I think it takes longer in the US for the US Fish and Wildlife and folks here to accept something as extinct, because isn't the Bachman's warbler still considered
not extinct?
Not extinct, or
I think that's correct.
Didn't that change this year?
Eskimo. Oh,
I think similar to the warbler. Yeah, I don't think either is considered extinct.
I assume that this is maybe IUCN, the International Conservation Group. I mean, Council. Is that right? That did this or decided?
Are they the deciders? I'm trying to look it up.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure for Europe who is the decider. But there's been an issue of identification because there have been other records like from Italy that are more recent where folks have decided that those were actually aberrant Eurasian curlews with short bills and funny looking plumage. But, identification is always an issue in these kinds of things. And, the best case is the ivory-billed woodpecker, right? Like we have all sorts of people who have seen them, but good proof is not easy to come by. And in this case, those
it
ones
appears
in Italy,
impossible to come by.
Right. Right. Those in Italy, were photographed, or that one in Italy was photographed really well. So they were able to actually figure out that no, it was not a slender-billed curlew. So I thought that was interesting.
There's one from Great Britain as well, from the UK, that was similarly controversial. Yeah.
But it strikes me that a lot of this curlew stuff is not just habitat, and it's definitely not hunting. Like there's always been the issue of people saying the Eskimo curlew, went extinct or is nearly extinct because of hunting. And I think there has to be something broader that happened. Like I always think disease has to be taken into account, and why curlews of all things, Yeah. And I think there might be something to them. Like if they're all related, they may have some propensity to catch something from fowl. And as we've moved viruses around, maybe they've that, along with habitat issues and hunting, kind of has driven them to these, low populations. But I can't believe it's just as simple as like somebody, folks just shot out the Eskimo curlew. It just cannot be in my head.
I think I agree. Yeah.
That's the main attributed cause for like passenger pigeon, right? And some of these other things too that I cannot fathom.
Yeah. Passenger pigeon, there's a social structure, is my understanding. I'm not fresh on this now, but that they required numbers to be at a certain point.
So you just drop below a threshold really quickly.
I think that's right. Yeah, I need to refresh. Another curlew that folks, some may not know about, is steppe whimbrel, which probably should be split from other whimbrels. and I think some groups may even regard as a separate species, but they're going to blink out, it looks like, probably. I think they're well below 100 known breeding pairs, maybe below 30 breeding pairs. There's very few that are known. I know that they've been found in the non-breeding season, I think, as much in like Mozambique and maybe the coasts of South Africa and even in parts of the Middle East. But that's another one that could disappear soon.
I would split, the Hudsonian curlew, our curlew before that one, but hey.
Yeah, steppe whimbrel does have, I certainly agree with you on that. Steppe whimbrel does have an isolated breeding range that's further south. But yeah, I would need to look at it more carefully. But they do look a lot whiter generally than the other curlews.
There is a molecular paper on them, and I think it included steppe whimbrel, but I'm just pulling it out of my head, so I don't know.
Yeah. Al, you went to Merjazurga as well, yeah? In Morocco, the place where people used to see them, last place people were seeing them routinely.
Yeah, and the guy I was with, the local guide, was one of the people who used to show folks the curlew, and he pointed out to sort of an area of grass, and he said, that's where they were, right there, and I thought, maybe they're still here, but you realize, there's a lot of birders that go through there every year. Still there. Somebody's going to know.
Yeah, what I remember is that it was like one of the hottest nights I've ever spent in my life. was at a hotel right near Merjazurga, and it was like, no AC and just sweltering, just like, yeah.
What time of year is that?
Would have been September. Yeah, kind of early mid-September. Yeah.
Wow.
Trip I'm eager to do again, though, Morocco. Going to get that going at some point. Well, guys, we are coming up on the hour, and this is going to be it for season 4 and for a bit of a gap here. Yeah, Molly?
Yeah, we had a big season. We hit our 100th episode, had a lot of guests, and now we're going on breaks as we all go lead tours.
Yeah, a lot of travel coming up for all of us.
Yeah, so it's not really, it's a break from the podcast. The opposite of a break for everything else.
Yeah, people think that when we're not podcasting, we're just lying around on the beach, but
that's what we hear from the listeners.
It's untrue. Maybe George, he does that. Yeah.
The only time I go to the beach is in the dead of winter. I love going to the beach. But, yeah.
What are you promoting, guys? What you got going on? Since we're doing these tours now, but what's going on in the next half of the 25?
Yeah, well, I would encourage folks to keep an eye on the Lifeless newsletter. There's going to be, even though we're going on hiatus between seasons here, there will be news coming out there, including some news on an upcoming Lifeless podcast event with the three of us, where we're hoping everybody will come join us for some amazing times in the field. So yeah, join the Lifeless newsletter if you haven't done that. Please check it out. Again, there'll be news still coming there, between seasons. We're going to have some new trips coming up, posted to the Hillstar Nature site. I'm going to do a Portugal trip that I'm really excited about. Really excited about Portugal. Still spots on the ADAC trip I'm trying to do in May, and still some space on the India trip that I'm shooting for at the end of 2025, where we go for all the southern India endemics and the Ghats and the Deccan Plateau. So those are the ones I would encourage folks to check out as far as the trips and the newsletter, of course. What about you, Molly?
Yeah, well, first off, a couple things I'm going to link in the show notes. L'Adresseur has a really beautiful website with tons of cool articles, too. I'm glad you mentioned that they're a magazine first, Alvaro. So I'll link that too. And yeah, it's in Spanish. You can read it in Spanish. You can translate it. It's really cool. So if you are looking for some content, check that out. And I actually have an article that I forgot about that I wrote after going to Columbia Bird Fair a couple times about the differences in that and takeaways that can be brought back to the U.S. So I have that on the Nighthawk site, and I'll put that in the show notes if anybody's curious to read it. And yeah, tour wise, I am pretty booked up for 2025, so that's pretty exciting. But a few that still have space. Hillstar Pelagics, that's on the site. Those run. I'll be on the hopefully December and January ones, and I think there's some February ones too while I'm in Columbia. So check those out. And there, I believe, are still a few spots available for my March Cuba trip. So same itenerary that I'm running in December, I'm doing again in March. There's a really fun group of folks who are already signed up for that too, so that's exciting. There's room on my West Virginia tour at the end of May, which is birds, nature, food, doing a lot of herping and some botany, and we'll track down as many mammals as we can along the way as well. So that will be really wonderful. And last, my tour is filled to go to Panama in July, but that trip is really, really fun. So if you want to check out this, it's a bit of like an adventure style trip where we're going out on the water in different ways, from Tranquilo Bay, which is right on the Costa Rica Panama border. So we're staying there at the Eco Lodge on the island and getting out for excursions. And I don't know, maybe we can do it again at the end of 2025. So let me know if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, that one got snapped up pretty quick, that Panama trip.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Yeah. Alvaro, you've got all sorts of stuff in the works.
Yeah, alvarosadventures.com is the site. And boy, we've got we might actually have some openings on the Finland tour in June, late May, early June, and then Svalbard to go and see polar bears, all the northern stuff, ivory gull. If you want to see me, hopefully find my life for ivory gull and start, going crazy. That's the trip. And we'll be there during the summer solstice. So, basically,
that's awesome.
All day, all you can eat day, all day,
all the daylight you can eat, huh?
All the daylight you can eat. Vitamin D or whatever it is, all the time. And we have the Spain trip also coming up in the spring, and Antarctica in the end of the year. We've had some more interest in that trip, and we have a group already, so we're going to Antarctica. It's just there's some cabins left that would be end of October, November for Antarctica and South Georgia and all that. So looking forward to all of that. And there are other tours, so just go and check it out.
Sweet. Great. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will be back with you in 2025. Till then, take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.